There's a hole in my sock, and I ain't got no money. There's a noise in my car, and it's acting real funny. Sometimes I'm just looking for some inspiration, but I feel so worn down that I'm filled with frustration. It's hard sometimes to keep my head above the water. There's a hole in my sock, and I ain't got no money. Looking down this dusty road, the sun's in my eyes, and I'm feeling old, and I don't know where I'm going. There's a hole in my sock, and I ain't got no money. There's a noise in my car, and it's acting real funny. Motivation is gone, but it's time to move on. There's a hole in my sock, and I ain't got no money. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel, Christy's Musings. I'm Christy, aka Tigger. You can call me Grandma Tigger if you're my friend. But I just wanted to talk to you a few things and tell a little story. But first I wanted to recognize that this show today is brought to you by my executive directors, Thor and Maisie. That's my messy old bathroom in the background. But every day it seems like we're being bombarded with information, and it's like the news has become clickbait, and our nerves are on edge, and we're just in an information war. We already know that the left and the right are both being given a daily dose of shock and awe. If you don't believe me, go and listen to what you consider the other side and see what they are being told. Everybody is being equally distressed about something. But, it just feels like while everything's on fire, though, we're still expected to show up for work, even though it feels like we're facing an apocalypse. We're still expected to go get the grocery shopping done, and we got to do the dishes and the laundry and get everything folded and put away, keep our house in order. Some of us feel like that we're being given an eviction notice. And I don't know if you've ever seen Fiddler on the Roof, where Golda, where even though they were being evicted, she's in there cleaning like a tornado in her house. And her husband, Tevye, asked her, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I don't want anybody to think I'm lazy, you know." And in our words, we would be saying, "I don't want anybody to come into my house and think we're slackers." They want to come in and think, "Oh, these nasty people," or anything like that. So we're trying to keep our houses in order while it feels like everything around us is just going up in flames. So what do? We have to constantly tell ourselves, see, I got this little thing for my keychain. This is not my circus, not my monkeys. And we're going to have to just break away and not listen to all of this chaos. I found out that when I'm driving to work at 4 a.m., that I can listen to the NPR, and that news is just as cut and dry as you can get. These people sound plain, non-emotional, just giving the news and telling us what's going on in the world. Now, here's what you do though. When it is your circus and it is your monkeys, you get you one of these and you kick butt, okay? All right? But learn to know when it is not your circus, and just learn to take a time out and break away. So, with that being said, I'm going to segue into my next portion, and I'm going to tell you all a story. Back when I was around 8 years old, I was over at my grandma's house. My grandma had her house here. There was a terrace that kind of sloped down. And then my granddaddy had let my mom set up a single wide mobile home over to the side, off to the side, and left of my grandma's house. And so during the day, we would get up and we would go over to grandma's, and she would feed us and make sure we're all doing our things that 8-year-old kids do, watching over us. She'd put us to work sometimes. But this one day in particular, we were in the kitchen about to eat, and we just heard this noise. And it was like this groan and like a pop, pop, groan sound. And we looked out the window, and our neighbor, Mr. Albritton, that lived up the slight incline from us, he was on the level there in Butler. He was having an old antebellum home moved, and it came down. He was bringing it down in front of my grandmother's house, and we rushed out to see what was happening. It was a slow groaning procession down this dusty dirt road that ran in front of my grandparents' house. And we could hear, like I said, we could hear that sound before we even saw it. The creak of timber, the moan of old wheels, and the low hum of a work truck pulling more weight than it was ever meant to. My brothers and I, we stood in the yard, just eyes wide and mouths half open, frozen like fence posts as we watched this house slowly proceed in front of us. It wasn't just any house. It was a whole entire 2-story antebellum home. Boy, it was a sight. The house sagged slightly in the middle like it was tired and wasn't too sure about this whole trip. The windows stared blankly ahead, as if ignoring all of us standing off to the side, gawking at it as it passed by. The grown-ups stood nearby, hands on hips or shielding their eyes, nodding like this sort of thing happened all the time. But for me and my brothers, it was just like magic. A house, a whole real house, floating like down the road like something out of a tall tale. We could feel the earth rumble as the house passed, and the old boards moaned with every bump in the road like it was remembering every year it had stood still. And just like that, the house moved on, slowly steading to Highway 19, making its way to sit on what is commonly called the Butler level. I was sure when I got to school and talked about this, nobody was going to believe me. But Mr. Jason Albritton had bought his wife a whole darn house. I hope you all enjoyed this little piece of my childhood memories. I thought that I would start trying to help you all to not only live in this crazy world, but to prepare and sometimes to escape. And I hope today you enjoyed this little escape as my little cat tries to take down my curtains. I love you all, and I don't know what I've got planned for Thursday, but I know that I've got to get this stupid garden in the ground. You know, last week we were in Arkansas, so it's like keeps, life keeps happening, things keep getting put back. But I'm going to get that garden going. And I hope you all are able to just tune in and tune out when you need to. And just remember, not everything is your circus, and not everybody is your monkeys. Love you all. Talk to you later.